Don Bolduc joins us, and that was a month ago. Don Bolduc joins the Republican. Is this race tightening? Do you feel that, sir?
Oh, yes, I feel it. It's really message over money during this election cycle. We've put in the work, hard work over 2 years, every town and city. We continue to do it. We got 5 events, average 5 events a day. We're out there. We're talking to folks, and we are making it's clear that we need change in Washington D.C. and that change has to come in the form of a political outsider, somebody who is going to go down there and doesn't have allegiance to anybody except to Granite Staters and Americans and improving their livelihood.
Don Bolduc, I want to ask you, there was some news made in the last few days on the inside baseball political circles about Mitch McConnell, whether or not they pulled money out nationally from your race or not, and whether or not that money's coming back in. But something you just said, message over money, that's not been your campaign thus far. You've been out in the grassroots talking message over money. I don't know the number. Maybe you do, but if Senator Hassan's campaign has raised or spent more than $30 million without a primary opponent and now with you, maybe more, where's that money coming from? Do you know?
Well, we do. I mean, we look at the FEC reports and we see it's coming from outside special interests, lobbyists, big tech, big pharma, big med, big energy, all those people, and very wealthy political elite, who have, really taken over the political process in Washington, D.C., by leveraging money to gain the allegiance and support of career politicians. And that's what Granite Staters don't want. They see every single problem comes from fear, uncertainty, over control that career politicians are using through an unlimited government that is creating high inflation, terrible economy, out of control spending, and the safety and security of themselves and their children and grandchildren is being significantly sacrificed. And this is a big problem. They want change.
There was a story the other day, and I asked you a week or so ago when you were on the show about the border, the southwest border. This is from the Texas Tribune, Don Bolduc. The Border Patrol reported almost 2.4 million migrants who were arrested at the southwest border this year. That's the most ever. The most ever. Biggest number we've seen. Obviously, there's a crisis at the border. You've seen Republican governors send migrants up to places like Martha's Vineyard, New York, or Washington to make a point. Senator Hassan has run ads that she's been tough on the border, that she's hired extra Border Patrol, and she's been a good record there. What's going on? There seems to be 2 different realities there.
Yeah, well, there's definitely 2 different realities, and quite frankly, she is not doing a good job as a member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Certainly, approving the removal of Protect Americans out of the mission statement of Homeland Security, not holding the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, accountable, not doing the things that we need to do in order to ensure our Border Patrol has the personnel, men, women, equipment, needed in order to protect not only the southern border, but our northern borders and other ports of entry that are, significantly vulnerable as well. And so, the opioids are coming in here, 95% into New Hampshire, that, 200% increase in that problem, weapons, human trafficking. The cartels now are, running stuff into this country at will. There is absolutely doing nothing about that, doing nothing about China sending in precursors to fentanyl being created in Mexico, nothing being done to Mexico. This can't be a pat on your back moment, right? For Senator Hassan.
Let me ask you this. Senator Hassan's campaign, and they have millions more dollars than you apparently to do this, keep painting this picture that you want to privatize or take away people's Social Security and you want to pass a federal ban on abortion. I've asked you this countless times on the show. Are those attacks working and driving up your negatives, making people doubt you, maybe female voters trying to get them away from you, or is it backfiring?
Well, it's backfiring now. We've reached a point where it's starting to backfire, right? And we see that. People are just tired of the ads. I heard it today at the Portsmouth Chamber of Commerce. I just got done speaking. And, oh, by the way, we couldn't be there together to speak. We had to be separate. So I spoke first, and then I had to, get rushed out in order for her to come in and speak after me. That's not the New Hampshire way. That's avoiding people because she can't stand toe-to-toe with me on these issues.
Was that this morning?
I will not say again. Yeah, that was this morning.
So can you come back to that again? There was a chamber, because I heard the Manchester Chamber yesterday. We had Neil Levesque on. They had, and I think this morning, they had Governor Chris Sununu, Democrat Tom Sherman at the chamber at St. Anselm College debating for the chamber event. I think that today's the first district. Why are these are major chambers, Portsmouth, Manchester. Why are the chambers, basically kowtowing or caving to an incumbent senator who's saying, I won't debate, we need to be separate? Why are they going along with that? What are they afraid of? Why don't they just say, no, we're going to get you up there together and answer questions for our chamber members? Isn't that tradition? Why would they bow to the changing that?
Well, I think if it was left to the chambers, they'd have us both in there at the same time. They'd be able to, she would speak, I would speak, she would answer questions, I would answer questions, or we answer questions together. I think if they had their way, they would do it. But ultimately, they want both candidates in there. So they're going to default to, whatever format, allows that. And that's just not the New Hampshire way.
No.
I would love to have been there with her. But you know what I had? I had a whole bunch of her staff in there, which I allowed in, right? I didn't say, oh, her staff can't come in. They're all recording me. So get ready for stuff to be taken out of context and used against me with that. Now, we couldn't have anybody in there. So, that's the big difference. And she's hiding. She's in her bunker. She comes up, for air. Last night she was with Cory Booker, a guy that's voted with her every step of the way to create problems in New Hampshire. They both supported SB 1, and that would have gotten rid of New Hampshire First in the primary. I mean, this is unbelievable. I bring in Tulsi Gabbard. She brings in Cory Booker, an ally of hers in the Senate, voting with her every step of the way to hurt Granite Staters.
When you're at these chamber events and there's supposed to be a debate, and they end up being this, you have to leave the rumor stage, the senator, the incumbent, obviously with more advantages and clout or whatever, that, gets to dictate the terms. Did the chamber members come up to you after and notice this, saying, this isn't right, what's going on here? Does anyone comment to you about this afterwards?
Yes, they do. They comment to me.
Do they like it?
They don't like it. They do not like it. It's not something that they like or they would prefer.
Yeah.
And, when Granite Staters hear about it, they like it even less, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, that's just not the way we do it here in New Hampshire. So you have a guy that's running the Granite State way, doing it by message over money, getting out there every single day, answering hard questions from anybody, and then you have someone that's hiding, not answering questions, and avoiding debates, avoiding the issues, that's just not the way we should be doing this.
Don Bolduc, you've shown in the primary that money is not everything. I don't think you did any TV ads. You did radio ads. They're effective. You raised enough money to win the primary. You had a lot of opponents. I mean, a lot of people in that field. And now you're, 2 weeks from today. Are you going to have enough money to successfully finish this campaign in terms of getting your message out? People do these mailers. I'm not saying they work. Most people throw them in the garbage. But Senator Hassan probably has millions. Do you have more than $1 million here on hand to finish this race, or is that going to be a challenge?
Yeah, we do. We got the NRSC, the National Republican Senate Committee, Rick Scott. They're coming in and helping us. The RNC, Rona McDaniel, they're helping us. There's, a groundswell of support coming from across the country, not only within the Granite State, which has been quite substantial, but also across the country to support us, knowing that we need money for the next 2 weeks. And I got to tell you, it's heartwarming, to see that, because these are people that are digging deep into their pockets, trying to manage their budgets in a very tough economic time. And they're saying, hey, we need change. We got to invest in this guy, even if others are not going to.
Final question, because there's so much negativity, is a sort of a positive question. Your family's from Laconia, correct?
Yes.
More than 30 years in the United States Army, you served, retiring as a brigadier general, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why did you want to run, and why are you running for politics given the toxic environment. What made you want to run after serving in the Army and now running for the U.S. Senate? What was the driver there? Some people would say, you just take a path. What fires you so much to want to run or be the next senator?
Well, right now it's what's happening to our families, and it's what's happening to our children and grandchildren, and that's what it's all about for me. I do not see a pathway right now if we continue on this road of, high inflation, poor economic policy, out of control spending, the insecurity that's driving crime up, and poor education and all this other stuff that's been happening to this nation that I've noticed over the last 5 years in retirement. I'm very concerned, and I have always been a public servant, always seeking opportunities to serve others, whether it's the police, the military, whether it's volunteering to helping veterans, volunteering to help anybody, our disabled community, you name it. My wife and I have always looked for ways to be able to help others. And we see a need. We see a need and an obligation now to take what experiences God has given me and bring those to Washington, D.C. to serve Granite Staters, to be their ambassador and their conduit for change.
I want to thank you very much, Don Bolduc. 2 weeks to go, one of the candidates in the U.S. Senate. Thanks for joining us live. Good morning, New Hampshire. The Pulse.
Thank you, and God bless you.
The Pulse of an Age. We'll take a break.